P Diddy reps make Childish three-word complaint over Kim Kardashian shows brutal dig. Hollywood just served up one of its most awkward moments when Kim Kardashian's new legal drama decided to take a swing at Sean P. Diddy Combs, and the fallout is somehow both predictable and utterly fascinating. The latest episode of All's Fair, Kim's much-hyped television series that's been getting absolutely roasted by critics since its debut, featured what can only be described as a savage joke about the embattled rapper's infamous freak-off parties, and Diddy's team is not having it. What makes this situation particularly spicy is that rather than issuing some lengthy legal threat or dignified statement of disappointment, his representatives responded with what amounts to a three-word complaint wrapped in corporate speak that basically translates to "it's not fair." The joke itself came courtesy of Sarah Paulson's character Carrington, who plays an attorney in the show, and it referenced the baby oil that was allegedly found during police raids at Diddy's properties, a detail that's become central to the various allegations swirling around the music mogul. This collision between reality TV royalty and a figure currently facing serious legal troubles has created the kind of entertainment industry drama that nobody asked for but everyone's now watching unfold with a mixture of shock and morbid curiosity. For those who haven't been following All's Fair, which honestly based on the reviews might be most people, the show follows an all-female team of lawyers as they navigate the messy divorce of Allura Grant, played by Kim Kardashian herself, from her husband Chase portrayed by Matthew Niska. The series has been struggling to find its footing with audiences and critics alike, with many pointing out that perhaps Kim's talents lie more in reality television than scripted drama, but that hasn't stopped the show from wading into controversial territory. In the episode that's now causing all this commotion, Sarah Paulson's character Carrington found herself disgusted by Chase's hair, comparing it to an oil slick in what seemed like standard television banter. When Chase insisted he had actually washed his hair, Carrington delivered the zinger that's now making headlines, asking sarcastically if he'd washed it in what, leftover baby oil from a Diddy freak-off. The line was clearly written to get a reaction, referencing the baby oil that federal authorities reportedly discovered in large quantities during raids on Combs' Los Angeles and Miami properties last year, a detail that's been mentioned repeatedly in both criminal proceedings and civil complaints against the 56-year-old rapper and business mogul. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the notifications bell icon so you never miss an update on the biggest entertainment stories and celebrity drama. If you're enjoying this deep dive into what's really happening behind the headlines and want to support my health while helping this channel continue bringing you quality content, I'd be incredibly grateful if you could click the super thanks option below this video. The response from Diddy's representatives came exclusively to the Mirror US, and while it was dressed up in professional language, the core message was remarkably simple and somewhat petulant. At this point it seems making a Diddy joke is a required ritual in entertainment circles, the statement began, before adding the kicker, "It's not fair, but it's the world we're in." Those three words, "it's not fair," encapsulate what many are seeing as a tone-deaf response given the serious nature of the allegations Combs is currently facing. The statement went on to insist that their client isn't engaging with any of it and that he's focused on meeting his goals, staying disciplined, and doing the work to get home to his family. They concluded by saying the commentary can swirl around him but he's keeping his head down, painting a picture of a man trying to rise above the noise and focus on his legal situation rather than getting dragged into entertainment industry squabbles. But here's where the situation gets considerably more complicated and why many people are finding the complaint about fairness somewhat hard to swallow. Sean P. Diddy Combs isn't just dealing with mean jokes on television shows, he's currently sitting in a prison in New Jersey after being sentenced to 50 months behind bars following his conviction on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. While the jury returned not guilty verdicts on charges of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, the conviction he did receive was serious enough to land him nearly 4.5 years in prison. Throughout his criminal trial and in numerous separate civil complaints filed against him, multiple individuals have accused Combs of hosting what they've termed freak-off parties, wild events where allegedly non-consensual activities took place. The presence and use of baby oil at these events has been mentioned repeatedly across various allegations, which is precisely why the All's Fair joke landed with such impact and why it's generating so much conversation. The baby oil detail isn't just some random element that scriptwriters pulled out of thin air for shock value, it's actually grounded in the reality of what authorities claim to have found during their investigation. Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, whose real name is Cassandra Ventura, filed a lawsuit containing disturbing allegations about their relationship, including claims that he would often insist on her being drenched in baby oil during these freak-off events. Her lawsuit painted a picture of control and coercion, alleging that Diddy even brought in a baby pool full of baby oil for one particular freak-off party. When the Department of Homeland Security conducted raids on Combs' Los Angeles and Miami homes last year, they reportedly discovered what court documents described as large amounts of baby oil on the properties. The federal indictment obtained by various media outlets at the time revealed that authorities found 3 AR-15 rifles with defaced serial numbers and a drum magazine during these raids, with court documents alleging that Diddy carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten others, including victims and witnesses to his abuse on more than one occasion. The scale of what was allegedly found during these raids is genuinely staggering and helps explain why this particular detail has become such a focal point in discussions about the case. According to court documents, federal officials confiscated various supplies for Combs parties, including narcotics, and shockingly more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. That's not a typo, over 1,000 bottles. This extraordinary quantity of a product most people buy maybe once or twice a year has understandably captured public attention and become somewhat emblematic of the excess and alleged wrongdoing that prosecutors claim characterized these events. It's this documented reality that makes the joke on All's Fair feel less like a random cheap shot and more like commentary on actual allegations that are part of an ongoing legal case, which is probably why the show's writers felt comfortable including it in the script. What makes Diddy's representatives' response particularly interesting is the tension between wanting to defend their client's reputation and the reality that he's been convicted of serious crimes and is currently incarcerated. The complaint that making Diddy jokes has become a required ritual in entertainment circles and that it's not fair feels like it's coming from an alternate universe where their client is simply the victim of an unfair media pile-on rather than someone who's been found guilty in a court of law on prostitution-related charges. There's a certain audacity to positioning him as the wrong party when he's literally in prison and facing credible allegations from multiple individuals about his conduct. The statement's insistence that he's keeping his head down and focused on getting home to his family is clearly meant to humanize him and garner sympathy, but it largely ignores the victims and accusers whose lives have been impacted by his alleged actions. The timing of this joke and the subsequent response also highlights how the entertainment industry is still figuring out how to handle situations where major figures face serious legal consequences. Kim Kardashian herself has been working toward becoming an attorney and has been involved in criminal justice reform efforts, which makes her show taking this particular shot somewhat ironic. Some might argue that including the joke demonstrates a willingness to comment on current events and not shy away from controversy, while others could see it as a rather tasteless attempt to generate buzz for a show that's been struggling with poor reviews. All's Fair has been described by multiple critics as a misstep for Kardashian, with many suggesting that the scripted legal drama format doesn't play to her strengths the way that reality television does. The fact that one of the show's most talked about moments so far is a joke about another celebrity's legal troubles rather than anything related to the actual quality of the writing or performances tells you a lot about where the series currently stands. What's also worth examining is the broader pattern of how celebrities respond when they become the subject of jokes or commentary in popular culture. Historically, the standard advice has been to ignore it, let it blow over, and maintain dignity through silence. But in the age of social media and 24-hour news cycles, that approach has become increasingly difficult to maintain. Diddy's team clearly felt compelled to respond, but their response has arguably generated more attention for the joke than if they'd simply let it pass without comment.